Hi, my name is Keesha.
Hi, my name is Shari, and we are your guides to an enlightened pathway. Come join us on a weekly quest to awaken your mind.
Welcome back to An Enlightened Pathway. This is Keesha, and today I'm discussing dismissive avoidant attachment style. Now, previously, Shari and I went over the 4 attachment styles in summary, and those are secure, dismissive avoidant, anxious preoccupied, and fearful avoidant. And when we take a look at the dismissive avoidance childhood starting in the 8th month on, the child pretty much has established a response to the parent's unavailability. And a lot of times, a dismissive avoidant child has a parent who is emotionally unavailable. They do not tend to the child's emotional needs and really don't ensure that the child's basic needs, such as eating, bathing, getting to bed on time, those are an intermittent type response. Sometimes they will do it, sometimes they won't, and ensuring that the child gets what they need. Another thing about dismissive avoidant children, their parents give them a lot of rejection, just straight out rejection. And that kind of looks like where you have a child that's like, look, mommy, look, I'm doing this. And the mom's like, boy, just go sit down. Or girl, just be quiet. Just go find something to do. Those parents that do that on a regular basis, that is a form of rejection. And the child finds themselves believing that what their needs are and what they're trying to show the parent as far as, maybe a talent, things that they've learned. When children are 6 and under, they're just so eager to show the parent, look, I can do this, because they're always exploring. And so you find that a child that gets a lot of this rejection by the time they're grade school, they start to become more of a loner. They don't explore as much. They're not explorative. They will isolate themselves from even peers, other children. They will not engage in group play. And they don't want to let the teacher, the parent know that they have whatever need they have, because they have become accustomed to that rejection. Okay, the parent not tending to anything really that is a true need, from emotional to physical to mental. And so we go into adulthood and look at the dismissive avoidant adult. And what that looks like is someone who is very self-reliant. They do not want to depend on anyone else for their emotional stability, happiness. They believe that no one outside of themselves will give them what they need. Now, to a certain degree, this is valid. We always have to examine if we are not secure in making sure that our happiness is our responsibility and that we hold custody of that, we can run into having a lot of issues. So we don't want to place that control in anyone else's hands. But see, with the dismissive avoidant, they don't want to engage. They don't want to open up. They don't want to have emotional intimacy at all. Okay, so it's a little different. Well, actually, it's a lot different from the dismissive avoidant just totally withdrawing and not wanting to be emotionally engaged with others and be vulnerable, versus, of course, you can't expect other people to create your happiness or make you happy. You have to have that within. So another thing with dismissive avoidant is, while they were in their childhood, they learned in those formative years, okay, that if they went to their parent or slash caregiver, they were not going to have a response that showed that A, the caregiver cared, B, the caregiver was going to respond promptly and give them what they need. And a lot of times when they become an adult, they have a low esteem of others. They have a very high esteem of themselves. However, when they look at others, they look down on others. So, what we know about the dismissive avoidant in adulthood is that they are the ones who will ghost you. They will ghost you when they feel that you are trying to get too close emotionally. They have a lot of aloofness and isolation, that their lives seem to only become balanced when they're able to retreat and be by themselves and reconcile the fact that they are starting to feel emotions for others. Once they identify that they have this feeling that is coming about, they will isolate themselves really from everyone so they can reconcile that, so they can pretty much self-regulate. They can only self-regulate alone. When they're around other people, they become overwhelmed with emotional and things of the heart and feelings, and they cannot manage, and it's not where they're able to cope because they were taught early on to pretty much detach themselves from their feelings, from the things that they believe they needed, especially emotional needs. So what will happen in adulthood is they will sometimes date many people at the same time, but it's very superficial, very shallow on the surface. They don't get to go deeper in having connections with people. They want to stay right on the surface, and they don't want to spend too much time with one person because, as we all know, when you spend a lot of time, you start to form those connections, those bonds, those feelings start to become more and more prevalent. So, one thing that you can do if you are a dismissive avoidant is you can, in small doses, start to, I would say, acknowledge the feelings you have. Okay? Acknowledge them. However, you don't have to address them with the person that you have those feelings for. In the beginning, you can just have an exercise where you do it speaking at home, with yourself, and tell yourself out loud, these feelings are healthy. These feelings are okay. I am not going to get hurt. Because through positive affirmations, most of the time you're able to feed your psyche that positivity that would allow you to reconcile any apprehensiveness, any fear, okay, that you might get hurt, that you are going to become attached and feel that you are dependent on someone else, because freedom and independence and individuality is very high on the dismissive avoidance list. Okay. And so another thing, if you're a dismissive avoidant or you're dealing with a dismissive avoidant, don't try to pressure them or yourself into going too deep into your emotional history, your past. Do it in small doses. Every couple of months, open a door, or open the door a little bit more. Because in childhood, remember, the child who is a dismissive avoidant, they learned early on that when they came forth with a need or a want, the person who was supposed to be the number one in their life as far as caregiver and provider and nurturer and the one who's supposed to, see about their needs, they rejected them. Because remember, rejection is the main focus for dismissive avoidant, making sure that they're not rejected. Because once they're rejected, now they revert back to that childhood pain. Because remember, most of the time when you have issues in your adulthood, it's because of childhood emotional or sometimes physical and a lot of times mental, because we stored in our mind issues and trauma and pain that is just unresolved. And so one key thing to remember is that if you find yourself in any one of these love attachment styles, you don't have to stay there. There are ways for you to migrate into a secure attachment style. And one of the most important factors for all of us to keep in mind is that when we go through life, we are going through different experiences with different people at different times, but we're constantly evolving. At least we should be trying to make sure that we're constantly evolving and growing. Okay? So don't feel that you are ever alone, and don't feel that you cannot work through this and get to a more secure attachment style and be able to express and share your emotions with those that you love and care about. All right. So I hope that gave you all a lot more insight as to the dismissive avoidant. And until next time, thank you so much for joining me on this journey to an enlightened pathway. Bye.